During the sixth generation of gaming, I missed out on the Nintendo GameCube. I was turned off by the console design and lack of a DVD player. Now the GameCube has become one of my favorite consoles of all time. Even though the console lacked the popular GTA games of the generation, the library is full of great titles that make up for it. Dan from Black Dog Technology has made this possible with the GC Loader. The GC Loader is one of the best mods you can do for your GameCube. The GC Loader is an ODE, optical disc emulator. This means the GC Loader will replace your optical disc drive, letting you play backups off the SD card using original hardware. This will save you wear and tear off your game disc and aging lasers. Here's a clip of John from Spawnwave installing an early build of the GC Loader. This version of the GC Loader required you to solder a flex cable to the board, which may be difficult for some people, and a slight modification was also required to the bottom shell. The new version of the GC Loader is only $10 more from the previous version, bringing the bargain to $90 US. The GC Loader PNP is now plug and play, making installation easier than ever. Only tools you will need for this installation are a 4.5mm game bit driver and a No. 1 Phillips screwdriver. First, you want to make sure that your cables are disconnected from the system and flip over your GameCube, removing any covers. Now remove the 4 security screws with the 4.5mm game bit drive, turn around the GameCube, and slowly lift off the top cover. Now gently pull back on the controller port assembly and the rear cover, and they should easily come off. Now turn your GameCube. Removing the cables isn't necessary, but I ended up removing the power cable right here. Remove the 2 screws and move the power board and fan assembly to the side. Remove the remaining 12 screws around the housing. Next, remove the 4 smaller screws on top of the memory cards. Now you can carefully lift and remove the optical drive assembly. Turn over the assembly and remove the 6 screws holding the drive. Now you can install the GC Loader. Insert the GC Loader as shown and install the 3 screws provided with the loader. You will notice the loader came with 1 washer. Use it with the screw that will be going into the bigger hole. That's it, you are done. Now this is the part that is completely optional. The guys at Laser Bear Industries have done a phenomenal job in making a GC Loader SD card mount. This will fill in the missing space from the removed drive and will give your GameCube a clean finish. The 3D printed job is high quality and will fit perfectly. Put the Laser Bear mount as shown and use the screws from the GameCube drive to secure the mount. Now secure the housing back on the GameCube. You can now reassemble your system and you are done. One important thing to note is that the GC Loader is region free. This means I will not have to install a mod switch to my Japanese GameCube to play US games. SD card setup is easy. First, format your card to FAT32. Using bigger SD cards, you will have to use a program to format your exFAT to FAT32. Using a Mac, you can use the built-in disk utility. If you're on Windows, you'll have to use a program like GUI Format. To take advantage of the full menus, you will need to download the latest version of Swiss. After extracting your downloaded file, you're going to want to open up the Swiss file. Find the region ISO that matches your GameCube. I will use the NTSC/J for my Japanese GameCube. Then you will need to rename the ISO file to boot.iso. Now move the boot.iso file to the root of your SD card. Now that we have Swiss on the SD card, we will now add the games. You can put your ISO or NKit game files straight to the root, but I decided to make a folder called Games to keep the interface looking clean at boot. I highly suggest you buy a HDMI adapter to take advantage of the outputs in Swiss. I went with the Carby adapter by Insurrection. It's nearly half the price of the Eon adapter, and all the adapters on the market today put out the same output. They all use the open source GC video software. Unlike early brands of the HDMI adapters, the Carby has insulated connectors. This means you will not have to worry about frying out your GameCube if you accidentally pull on the Carby. Ask Metal Jesus about that one. Now open your lid, put in your SD card, and let's test this out. As soon as you press power, the system will boot straight to Swiss. If you press B, you will go down to the bottom menus. Here you can mount the GC loader, memory cards, SD cards, etc. To the right, you will find the global settings. Most people might want to go to this setting right here and make sure your configuration device is set to memory card slot A. This will make sure your settings saved to the memory card, but we'll come back to this one and I'll explain why I don't have my settings saving to the memory card. We will mount back to the GC loader and head to the games. Here's some of the games that I have loaded. You will notice that the games are all 1.36 gigabytes. That's because the backups are straight up ISOs. Now I had trouble loading a handful of games. Even though Swiss supports ISOs, it's recommended that you use nkit.isos. Nkits will save you a lot of space. I'm not promoting piracy, but there's an old school ROM site that has a layer full of ROMs. Hopefully that was a big enough hint for you guys. All their GameCube games are already in the nkit.iso format. Let's check out Mario Sunshine. Press X and you can check out some settings for the game. I usually always turn on the forcing 480p setting. For Mario Sunshine, I have to invert that camera stick. It just feels so much better. The gameplay I captured here does no justice on my TV. I swear, it looks awesome. As far as loading multiple disc games, Swiss will make that easy. We'll load Resident Evil 4. After chapter 4-4, the game will prompt you to change the disc. Just wait a few seconds and the second disc will change on its own. You don't have to do anything. Chasing down a Game Boy player disc these days can be expensive. You can use a backup of your Game Boy player disc and this will allow you to use your Game Boy player in Swiss. Loading up Metroid Zero Mission. This is my favorite Metroid game. It's a remake of the first game. If you haven't played it, I suggest you guys playing it. This game is awesome and it's only on the Game Boy Advance. At the time in making this video, there is one known issue. There is no write support to the GC loader. Basically, any setting you save in Swiss cannot be saved to the GC loader's SD card. Write support is planned to be added really soon, so I suggest you guys check out the GC loader's website and see if there's any software updates. There are two cheap workarounds that will allow you to save your data in Swiss. Even though I mentioned earlier that I was able to save settings to a memory card, it is recommended that you use a SD Gecko or SD to SP2. Just a reminder, if write support is available by the time you see this video, these methods will be useless. I purchased the SD to SP2. It was only $10 off Amazon and it installs to the bottom of Serial Port 2. One important feature that you might want to do right away is add in-game reset. Now you're going to want to go back to the original Swiss download that we did earlier, and then you're going to want to find the DOL folder. Rename the Swiss DOL file to igr.dol. Now put this file into the micro SD card that you're going to put into your SD to SP2. After you're done, install the SD to SP2 into your Serial Port 2. Now turn on Swiss and let's go back to those global settings. You're going to want to do two things here. First, you're going to want to check your configuration device and make sure you select SD card SP2. Next, you're going to want to find in-game reset and make sure you change that to igr.dol. Now to reset a game and bring you back to the Swiss menu, all you're going to have to do is the following button combination. Just press the right trigger, Z button, B button, and down on the D-pad all at the same time. This mod is so awesome. I want to thank Dan from Black Dog Technology, and I suggest you guys follow him on Twitter. He's been showing this Xbox HDMI. Oh man, it looks awesome. That's probably going to be a future project. Before in this video, I want to say one last thing. Yes, I know it's a hell lot cheaper to mod your Wii U and run Nintendo for GameCube games. Yeah, it's cool, but nothing beats OG hardware.